Yeah. Where are we headed? I think my optimistic view of it is that we are rototilling the fabric of society right now. Like we're
that's the theory I've heard other people mention also, which I
just jackhammering the concrete, and it's like, of course, that's not going to feel comfortable or even righteous. Sometimes it's going to just feel insane, and every day someone says, "All right, that's enough," because it's a friend of theirs or someone that's like, "What, him? No." That's enough. Or this specific story is like, well, if that's all right, that's enough. But, and I know, yeah, I think it's just like a jackhammering of the concrete, and then hopefully, then if we could just observe while we're doing that instead of there being a backlash, that maybe this is the ticket to, we start to adopt a code and a principle where we go, I subscribe to the sort of equivalent of the Asimov's rules of robotics or something. There's like a 3 rules, a litmus test you can rattle off before you have a human encounter, whatever it is. And you go like, okay, so who's harming who or who's getting away with it? I don't know. There's some like code, and then that's like a religion that comes up out of it, where it's not about men versus women or people of color versus white people or whatever. It like stops being that because it becomes so chaotic and it becomes so like, what, Mr. Rogers did that? Oh no. And like all of these heroes or funny people are tumbling, and there's all this like crazy shit until we're all so confused that we all cry out at once for order. We go, tell us what to do, tell us how to think. Tell me something to tattoo on my arm so that I can just look at it. Give me a symbol, a shamrock or a circle with 3 dots on it or something that could represent like the 3 acid tests of whether or not you're good or evil. And then it can just be about people that subscribe to that belief system versus people that don't. Because the belief system I have built into it, as does animal cruelty, like a kind of like, well, why would you bother fighting this? Like, and then there would be people going like, I don't believe in that circle with 2 dots thing. Why? Well, what? No one told you to get the tattoo, but why are you so scared about that? What slippery slope is there for you? And then we could just like, we'll just choke those people to death, put them in prison.
The Al Franken thing is sort of something that you just said, which was that when they find out Mr. Rogers has done something weird, and it's so frustrating to hear people sort of defend him, because you're at this point where you're like, the world assumed that only people you didn't like were going to be found guilty. And it's sort of a wake-up call to say it's going to be guys that you like. Yeah. It's going to be people you love, fathers and brothers. And we have to say we have the same standard.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's the Al Franken story is getting pretty close to, I'm pretty sure, like within 10 years, like I don't think there's probably not a photo you could dig up of me like honking some titties, but like, and I don't think I ever like, right. But I just it's in terms of, it's like, well, I would expect that sooner or later, if we were going to like put a black light over my entire life, 40 years, that there's got to be some narrative where I'm like way out of line in my past. So, and I'm definitely not pretending to not remember. Like I don't know if, but what I do know is that if there was some, like, if someone said something, it was like, oh yeah, I was doing a show with Dan Harmon and he blah 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 and he did this and that. And I would go, if it was true, then I would go, okay, yeah, that's true, and I that was fucked up. Yeah, I either was just reminded of that because of the story, or I've been thinking about that for a long time, and I'm really embarrassed about that. Blah blah. Isn't that basically how Al Franken responded? Like I don't know if his apology was like suitable or whatever, but what's the big, it's like if you didn't actually, it should be okay for there to just be like, oh yeah, by the way, here's some like shit sprayed on you, here's a little dye pack on you from 2005, and you should be able to go, yep, sorry. And then
the key is evolution, in that if we found something about you in 1998 and then you were still doing it in 2006, sort of like in a Louis situation, I think then people are angry. But if we find out that when you were 18, you were inappropriate, but now as a grown-ass man, there's never been a case again against you, then we see that you've evolved. And I think that's what people are asking for.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that separates cases.
I think the crucial things are cover up, dishonesty, stuff like that. Like, yeah, if there's a trail of like, no, I'm gonna keep doing this and I'm gonna lie about it, or like if it comes forward and then the person's response is like that didn't happen, like okay, then we have to, and then it turns out it did happen. Then it's like, okay, but do you understand that that doesn't bode well because you're not. That means that if you could get away with it, you would, as opposed to like, oh, did I do that? Urkel, we call it the Urkel.
The Urkel effect.
Just say, did I do that? Just remember Urkel, the Urkel principle. How do you spell Urkel? And then we'll make up like an acronym for the. I don't what how did that come up? I don't know. Oh, the Al Franken thing, I guess. Yeah, because it's like. Well, yeah, he's a senator. I think we should assume that all politicians are fucking creeps for sure, right?
Well, there's going to be.
Why are you shaking your head? Oh, because of Maxine Waters? You're so fucking racist.
There's definitely.
What about Kamala Harris? I'm not racist. Oh, she's black too.
There's definitely going to be a ton of old white men in D.C. like they get fucking purged from this. I mean, on both sides, I'm sure. You know.
I mean, it just should be no shock to anybody that a senator of any state. I know that should not be okay, and I'm glad it's no longer okay. And we should expect that every single fucking one of them is going to have somebody come forward and say, like, yeah, because people with power. My therapist said she's a married lesbian. And she said,
Does she watch the show?
No, I don't think so. If she does, she's smart enough to pretend she doesn't. But because then I think it'd feel like it would ding our therapy or something. But she uses Family Guy references to like make her points. She's like, sometimes Peter Griffin has like an angel on his shoulder.
She doesn't.
Yeah, and I'm like, I have a cartoon you could use.
I know. That is hilarious.
I would love to see your face when she says
it's exact. I'm like, yeah, great. The third time she did a Family Guy reference, I was like, "Are you trying? Like, we're gonna have to have."
Like, well, he's in comedy. He'll appreciate that I'm trying.
I'm gonna need to see you twice a week because of your references are fucking me up. Like it's like when do I get some validation?
Hilarious.
I get it. I should let go of the need for that, but like, do you have to?
Wait until she starts to talk about it like she doesn't know you're associated with it. You should have seen on Rick and Morty. Do you watch that show? Anyway, Dan, you should have seen on Rick and Morty.
But she said, listen, it's power. The studies and the anecdotal evidence show, even in the psychological community, like women who are not only women, but they work in the shrink industry. There's still ways to become empowered as a person to the point where your mind starts to bend, and it just happens less because women are because we've gaslit them into like they don't get as many chances to be in such power that they can like find out.
She's saying it's human.
Yeah, it's like it's a person in power thing. I don't think it's like a split equal thing. I think it's going to take decades to convince me that guys aren't like neurologically like more fucked up. Like just like it just seems but I do believe her when she says like anybody that gets a ton of power over another human being, like you have to go into that situation with your shit together. That is not going to bring your shit together, that situation. So there's just like a big, there's syndromes of like powerful women that will just like psychologically torture the dudes underneath them, like I think it's probably a smarter and more awesome kind of because it's sexist that when we think about it we go like that would be awesome. But anyways, why did that come up? Because you'd said
Kamala Harris. She sexually harassed.
Oh well, yeah. So that's why I'm saying like all all senators. We should just there's no harm that can come from assuming that all senators are liars, thieves. It is not our patriotic duty to think that someone in office is a good person or honorable. Like, it is arguably a patriotic duty to be skeptical and assume the worst about our servants, you know?
Do you think that this will swing around on Trump, or will they just continue to say that happened a long time, that's not true?
I don't know. I don't know how.
I don't know if they.
It's like this elephant in the room. Well, somebody was mentioning that
him tweeting about Al Franken made blood
it was so
come out
crazy.
Of my ears.
But also tweeting about it like a little poopy boy. Like, it was like, oh, guess where his hands went in picture 2 and 3. I was like, okay, bad at being a billionaire. We knew that. Bad at being president. And then it turned out we were kind of marveling at, wow, he's bad at being Hitler. Wow, that's a relief. He's being bad at being Hitler. I never expected he'd be bad at sexual harassment. Like bad at parsing a titty honk photo. I was like, do you think he thinks it's a missing? He thinks it's a beginning of a slideshow.
Yeah, there's a whole lot.
He's like bad at being a douchebag. Like he's bad at looking at that photo and just going, "Oh, looks like he grabbed dudes." I mean, it's like there's a couple ways to interpret his response. One is that he looked at that photo and was like, yeah, okay, fine, but you know that shit got bad in the subsequent photos. Like that because he didn't look at it as a bad thing.
Yes. Because in his world, he's used to getting busted for so much more. He's like, if that was number 1, God knows what 2 through 5 are.
The other way to interpret it is that he got a hard-on and was just sharing it with America. It was just going like, whoa, look at that. Like,
did all of his accusers just get paid off? Like, how did that all just go away?
I don't know. I all I know is that people are, when people say, oh, but what about this guy? I was like, well, let them run their sexual predator guy. Like, why are we trying to like pull him out of the race and all this stuff? Like if you pull him out of the race, then they've already learned that, it's neck and neck with a pedophile running. So they just find a non-pedophile. They would love for him to be disqualified. That's a do-over. So I was making that argument, like, just run your pedophile.
Yeah,
and they're like, yeah, and then he's going to win. I'm like, well, then let the games begin. You know, I know that there's this bigger chess game, like where, we got to we got to get the majority, but that's how they're thinking so much that they're running a pedophile. Right. So let's it's not like, be Christ-like and just let them run the game. But when there's that much tumult to the point where they're like banging shoes on the table, saying like, it's like, okay, there's a larger loss here for them.
Yeah. I think they should. I think they should. Right? They should be forced to run that guy. Like what? Like why should that? I mean, obviously,
they don't have to seat him once he wins the election.
Yeah. I mean, there's. Yeah. I think that.
How bad would it be to lose to the pedophile? To be the fucking. I mean, that's your claim to fame. Hey,
particularly because
I lost to the pedophile in Alabama.
He's the lawyer that went after the people who killed the 4 girls in a church that they were blown out of. So that even sends a larger message. The fact that it's neck and neck is terrifying.
I don't think it's neck and neck anymore.
Not anymore, but it was 8 points 3 days ago. Now we're up to 4 points back again. Really? So these
are also polls in Alabama. These are like phone polls. What kind of idiot is picking up their landline in Alabama?
Tammy Sessions.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well, you saw the headline that said that. Oh, God, it was some statistic about like. I'm pulling this number out of my ass, but it was like the actual numbers I'm pulling out of my ass. But it was like 6 out of 10 evangelicals in Alabama say that now that they know about this, they're
rescinding their endorsement.
They want to vote for him twice or whatever.
Oh,
that
God.
It was like that they're doubling down. However they express that they're more likely to vote for him now. Like, how is there even a degree? Was that a continuum? Like, now I'm more likely to vote for one of two people. The where it's a binary decision between whether I'm good, in my mind, whether I'm good or evil. Now I'm more likely to double down.
The most brilliant move, with like talking about playing chess, was the robocall thing of like, let's have a fake Jew from the Washington Post calling and like murking around looking for more dirt on him just to sully the whole media, just to fan the flames of resentment.
I didn't hear about that. It was a false flag robocall.
It was a robocall in Alabama, a real robocall that went out, and you got to hear it. It's amazing. It's a recording. It's like, this is Bernie Bernstein from the Washington Post, and I'm looking for some information about what's his name, about the fucking, whoever, I forgot the guy's name. And they're like, if you have any tips, no questions asked. I pay $5,000. Call this number, blah, blah, blah. Like, just to muddy the waters so that people are confused about whether or not that's real and whether or not the process of finding that information is, and just to throw doubt on whether or not any of that information is real.
Right. Most people said things like, I don't know about the timing.
Yeah.
The timing's kind of weird.
Yeah. It's weird that it would come up right now. Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean the timing of finding out that
these allegations from all these women are from like 40 years ago, and this guy's had a long career,
Right.
So they're saying like, why would it come up now? That seems weird to them, and they're not taking into account that there could be this movement going on where and they feel empowered or emboldened to speak out and to speak up, and they didn't before.
Right.
Also, the cover-up was 40 years.
Well, I didn't know it was undercut. That's so weird. Like, it would be like, who gives a shit if it's politically motivated to come forward, and say,
well, that's such a great excuse. Like, it's politically motivated. Those are my political enemies.
Untrue.
Like, yes, they are your political enemies. Of course, that's how that works. The job that you want.
Yeah.
Man, the audience is going crazy.
Well, you gotta. Most people are just listening to this.
They're working
it's
out.
It's like a regular podcast.
They're at the gym. Yeah.
Yeah. The subscribers get the treat of it's kind of like a Neil Hamburger-y kind of bit. Like there's no audience, so it feels like just awkward enough.
I didn't mean that the audience listening is going crazy. I was joking about the live audience here. Yeah.
Yeah.
What if we had cardboard cutouts of people?
Somebody did once suggest that we should fill it with mannequins, and then said that Dan would not be able to concentrate. Shout out to Reddit.
That's another exciting thing about all this, allegations and all this stuff is unless. And I assume we're not going to start kink shaming, right? Because especially if I never set out to be a hero by jerking off on a mannequin leg, but because that's a victimless crime, I'm kind of like an accidental
Did that happen
King Arthur here.
Let's go ahead and bring those 6 legs out for their testimony right now.
I just happen to. That's the other thing I want to be careful about. That's why I've been careful to go let's talk about the silence and let's take account about the way we're treating women and all that stuff, because I don't want, because otherwise I'm in the catbird seat, and I didn't want to be, because I didn't choose. That's not by choice. That's no more by choice than if I was born gay or something like that. My proclivities don't happen to involve living
people.
Well, I mean, but they I'm not, but I mean, they do. My proclivities involve my living girlfriend Cody, but I just mean I don't it just a YouTube video goes so far, it doesn't. I never really. I don't have the biology, I don't think, that results in being so frustrated with a woman for not letting you assault her that you have to jerk off in a potted plant while she watches just to get your life back. But whenever anything that involves coming or craving and all that stuff, I'm always even though it's really easy to vilify the creepy people, I know I'm creepy, I'm just not, I just don't happen to be creepy in a way that would ever bring me into an intersection where somebody else was getting hurt without their consent. But I don't think that's because I'm a noble person. I think that's because I saw some pantyhose feet under the table when I was 10 years old in the 70s or something, and I don't. So I'm because I don't want, it would be just so easy to just go oh yeah, let's find all the worst people and let's get rid of them. But it's not really. It's like you can find monsters if you look for monsters. Like, you'll just find them, but I don't think that'll... I think if you could wave a magic wand and get rid of every guy that ever hurt a person, I don't think that would solve the problem.
But also, people are complex, and no one is... Everyone has bad shit about them. And you know, not, everyone that is being... I mean...
Different shit.
Not to tie it back to what we were talking about, but... you know, all of those people are still going to be in society and living, and like they were charged with whatever sexual misconduct or sexual assault, or like they have families and kids, and they love their kids, and you know, they just, people. Sometimes I'm not defending any of those people, but I'm saying that people are complicated, and good people do bad things, and so how do we deal with that? You know?
Yeah, we have to make this about like how do we fix society. Not it'll be the easy way out to make it into okay, got this one, that one, that one,
just some symbolic bullshit.
Because for a couple reasons. One is like just your classic scientific reason, which is like the same reason your doctor tells you got to finish these antibiotics. You can't just take them until you don't have the sniffles anymore and then throw them in the garbage. You got to keep taking them after you feel good, because if there's a couple left, they're just going to be really good at being making you sick. So the metaphor there is like, do we really want to just find the Weinsteins, hang them from the highest tree, and then what's left? Oh, the super secret agent predators that like never get caught. The Kevin Costners and Mr. Pottery Lacquer. What's that movie? Mr. Brooks. You know, the Mr. Brookses out there will remain, you know, watching the Weinstein corpse swaying, and they'll be like, okay, back to work. With my Jeff Daniels or William Hurt, Tyler Durden in my SUV guiding me. You know you want to... Come on, you know you want to go and do it. Come on, let's go kill some more people. It's a pretty good William Hurt. Come on. I never tried William Hurt. Just fucking did it. So when is anyone ever going to appreciate me for the fucking like accidental Rich Little that I am? Like I'll just think of I can do a perfect impression of any celebrity once. I'll never be able to do William Hurt ever again. You guys know that you were astounded.
It was pretty great.
He's playing deep cuts tonight.
But then someone will say, "Do your William Hurt," and I'll go,